Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jason, and this is me trying to grow my green finger. I'm building a garden here in eastern North Carolina. And when I mean building a garden, I mean about 1.5 acres of property that I intend to develop into the garden of my dreams. But every dream starts with a step, and today I'm planting dahlias. Now, the area I'm planting dahlias with, if you haven't watched my previous videos, I encourage you please to go back, watch those videos. They explain a lot of what I'm not going to explain today, but this is the front fence line of the vegetable garden. The vegetable garden sits towards the back of the property. Towards the front is right now open field. At some point in time, it will become other flower and other areas. So it'll be nice. But today, again, like I said, we're planting dahlias. So if you're a dahlia lover, this video is for you. If you're not a dahlia lover, maybe I can convert you, because the dahlia is a wonderful flower. It grows from a tuber. And a tuber is, well, think of a potato, okay? Except that it has a thicker, harder skin on it typically, and you can propagate it from that tuber. That'll be a whole nother video at a whole nother time. Dahlias are relatively simple to care for and maintain. They're not a complicated plant at all. I like them because they're fairly idiot-proof. You can almost not kill them. I have killed dahlias, not after I planted them, but while storing them for winter. And that's a whole nother story for another time. But again, today, because I'm in growing zone 8A, I can plant these dahlias in the ground and I can essentially leave them here forever. Dahlias don't like to be soaking wet, so I'm going to be planting them in a mound in front of the fence. This area in front of the vegetable garden will eventually have a hedge in front of it, but I don't have the hedging plants yet. I'm looking at boxwood right now. That I may wind up changing my mind and planting another alternative instead of box in front of the fence, but that's down the road. For the first year at least, perhaps even the second or third, there will be dahlias in this space. So the dahlias will grow up, I will stake them out, I will then use the fencing to help support the stakes and dahlias, and Bob's your uncle. So today I'm going to be planting out 5 different varieties. So the first one is Franz Kafka. If I'm not pronouncing that right, I'll put the name here along with maybe a picture. I've had that plant for now a couple of years. This will be the 3rd year I've had the plant. Last year I put it in a pot with the intention of transporting it at some point during the year to North Carolina. I used to live in New York. Now I'm in North Carolina. I grew it in a pot. It grew pretty well. Not great, probably because it didn't have all the nutrients and whatnot that it needed, but it survived. It survived the trip, and recently I thought it had perished, but I took it out of its pot, I cleaned it up, and lo and behold, it was sprouting. So this is great. So today I'm going to be planting it up, and you'll see that. And this will be the 3rd year I've had this dahlia. The next dahlia I have is called Marry Me. That one is new. The next 4 are new. Marry Me. Then there's Ahoy Matey. I'm looking down at the ground where I have the dahlias. Then there's Envy and Black Satin. All of these have sprouted or have begun to sprout. Now's the time to get them in the ground. It's warm enough here. They're talking about the end of next week possibly being 80. Today I think it's supposed to get to 70. So the ground is also warm enough. Dahlias don't like it when it's cold. When it's cold, dahlia will simply be stunted or won't really grow. When it's warm, the dahlias will grow. Dahlias don't like freezes, so if you live in a growing zone like I used to in 7A, you have to take the dahlias up. So 7A, 6, 5, 4, you have to take the dahlias up out of the ground, and at that point you clean them and store them for the winter. And then during the springtime, once it gets warm enough, then the danger of frost is past, you can plant them in the ground. Rinse and repeat every year. Again, I'm in 8A. I don't have to do that anymore. I can simply leave them in the ground. And unless there's some freakish Texas freeze that comes through, then they should be fine in the ground and then just keep sprouting up year after year. That being said, if these dahlias, if I'm not ready to put the hedge in this area next year, and I decide to keep the dahlias here, then on the third year, because this is the first year, next year will be the second year, on the third year, whether they stay here or they move to the new garden that I will have built for them, I will then at that point take them up and divide them. And there'll be a video on that. You know, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. You can then keep up with all my antics and see how I do things. Fair warning, I am no expert gardener. This is just how I do things, and this is how I'm learning. I will make mistakes, I will stumble, I will trip. If you have any better tips, hints, or suggestions, please leave a comment below. With all that being said, let's get to planting. And again, the first one we'll be planting up is the Franz Kafka. This plant, I believe, let's just check our stats. This one gets up to 3 foot tall. So of the 5 dahlias I'll be planting out today, this one is going to be the shortest. Now, if you watched my previous video, I had just put out this dirt. Now I put down a layer of cardboard and I put down the dirt on top of it. Again, it's somewhat of a mound. The reason I did this was because when it rains here, the ground floods because I have a heavy clay soil. And again, dahlias don't like to sit on heavy clay soil. They prefer well draining. So I'm going to tease this out of the tray I've been nursing it in. Beautiful. And this plant already has a good healthy set of roots, which is great. That's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to nestle this guy right in here. Make sure I get some dirt underneath it. There we go. So Dahlia is a South American plant. It does prefer the warmer weather, but it does prefer well-draining soil, not swamp. So there's the Franz Kafka pot planted up. I will put this temporary tag in here. I don't know if you can see that in the frame. Yes. Okay, so it's a temporary tag. Eventually I'll come back and put in a nicer tag in. But that plant is planted up. It's supposed to go to about 3 foot wide. So, and again, 4 foot tall. So I will then appropriately try to space the next dahlia. If you plant your dahlias too close, it's not necessarily the end of the world. It just means they'll have to compete a little bit more for the nutrients. Take this excess soil, just put it around here. The next one is going to be Marry Me. Now this dahlia I got purchased recently from Swan Island Dahlias. Again, I'm going to tease this out of the tray that it's in. I've been nursing it, and this is a smaller tuber. I think you can see this. There you go. It's a smaller tuber, but it does already have a sprout. This one should be pretty easy to plant up. There we go. Now, given time, each of these plants that I'm planting out today will turn around and they will develop new tubers. And again, from those new tubers, you can then propagate the plant. And I'll show you that in the future. And again, the next one is a Hoy Matey. This is also from Swan Island Dahlias. You can see this one has a very healthy root system. I've had them in a tray of coir, chopped up coconut husks. So, and, okay. You know what, I'm not happy with that. I'm gonna re-fidget it. There we go. Okay. So, I've been nursing the plants along in the coconut coir, and they've all, I believe all or most have developed stems. So that's black satin. And the next one's going to be a Hoy Matey. Ah, this is a Hoy Matey. So what happened to, okay, that's black satin. That's a Hoy Matey. Marry Me, Kafka. Okay, and that just leaves Envy. Okay. And again, the last one I'm doing today, this one is Envy. And I don't know if you can see that, but it is developing a little bud. Actually, looks like 2 stems. This is what it looks like. It's a tuber, and it has a nice little root system. So we're just gonna pop that in the ground now. Okay. And you don't have to plant dahlias super deep, which is nice. So there you go. The first 5 of my dahlias that I plan on planting out are done. I believe I have about 20 more to go. And again, they'll continue down this front vegetable garden fence line. They will grow anywhere from 3 feet up to 5 feet. Who knows, maybe a little taller depending upon the heat and the moisture levels. Now again, let me just recap real quick. I put down a layer of cardboard on top of the grass. I'd cut the grass back down. This is almost essentially the no-dig method. The reason I did that is because the soil is very heavy in clay. So if I had rototilled it or dug it up and tried to add amendments, it just wouldn't be the same. Plus, when it rains, again, the water tends to sit on top of the soil because it is very heavy in clay and takes a long time to drain. Dahlias don't like wet, swampy feet. They like moist, well-drained soil. So I built the mound, put down a layer of cardboard, put down the dirt on top of it. I planted up the first 5. I watered them in, and then I mulched them because, like most plants, dahlias do not like their roots to be hot and dry. So the mulch will help keep down the weeds, suppress the weeds, as well as keep the soil warm. Oh, lovely butterfly. I don't know if you caught that in the film. So it'll keep the moisture in, it'll retain the moisture and keep the weeds knocked back. I planted the Franz Kafka, Marry Me, Black Satin, Ahoy Matey, and Envy. First 5 of many to come. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe so you don't miss part 2, 3, 4, however many parts this takes. If you don't follow me on Instagram, give a follow on Instagram. I post up pictures there that you don't often see here on YouTube. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I think that's about it for today. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm gonna go mow the lawn. Bye-bye.